Imagine a night that never ends. A winter so cold and merciless that food runs out, fires flicker, and hope feels like a distant memory. But deep in the frozen wilderness, one pioneer family faced the longest hunger in history and survived. Their warmth wasn't just from blazing fires. It was found in whispered stories, ancient secrets, and the quiet strength of love passed through generations. Join the Miller family's journey through endless snow, silent nights, and the deep mystery of survival when everything seems lost. Let the calm of their story wrap around you like a warm blanket and drift gently into the echo of survival's oldest lessons. Press play and experience the warmth in the cold. The woods had grown silent, blanketed beneath heavy snow, and the last golden light of autumn faded from the sky sooner each night. Anna Miller pressed her palm to a window pane dusted with frost, watching the field where tall grasses once blew. Now, only snow shifted in the wind. Inside the little log cabin, firelight danced on rough timber walls. Anna's mother moved about the kitchen, humming a slow, ancient tune, measuring flour and beans with practiced care. Above the hearth, dried bundles of herbs and onions hung, giving the room a gentle, lingering fragrance of summer. Anna's brother Tom returned from the woods, his cheeks pink, arms laden with kindling. He looked hopeful, but Anna saw him glance at the nearly empty woodpile, searching for reassurance. On the thick wooden table, her father tallied potatoes his fingers, tracing shadows across the small pile left in the root cellar. Mrs. Miller glanced at the pantry shelves, once crowded with jars and sacks. Now, only a scattering of beans, a handful of wild rice, and one wrinkled apple languished in the shadows. She caught Anna's gaze and smiled, the kind of calm smile that meant patience was more useful than fear. Baby Samuel, swaddled in thick wool, slept near the warmth of the fire, a rosy glow on his cheek. Rufus, their faithful dog, napped at Anna's feet, stirring only when someone moved near the door. Anna asked softly, "How did families survive winters when food ran out?" Mrs. Miller sat with Anna and Tom by the fire, encouraging them. "We survived before by stretching what we had and finding what the woods and fields might still offer, even as the world seemed empty. Winter always tests us, but it never lasts forever." Every morning, Anna helped her mother sweep the cold floor, looking for any stray bean or crumb. Tom split kindling, grateful for every dry log. Mr. Miller inspected the drafty places in the cabin, packing moss and scraps into cracks to keep the warmth inside. Meals grew simpler, a bowl of thin stew, the last apple sliced into quarters, bread stretched with wild grains. Each flavor reminded Anna of past abundance, now stored in memory. They saved what they could, delaying hunger with careful planning. At night, when hunger gnawed, Mrs. Miller told the children stories, legends from her own grandmother about winters darker and harsher than this one. She shared the tale of stone soup, where strangers arrived at a lonely village with nothing but hope and a clean river stone. She said, "If you share even just a little, you make the pot richer, the night warmer." Anna dreamed of secret stores hidden in the cabin, and Tom imagined snaring a rabbit in the thicket behind the house. Each dream became a story around the hearth, each story a comfort that dulled the ache in their bellies. One gray afternoon, Anna remembered a bundle of dried apples tucked inside her grandmother's old patchwork blanket. Together, she and Mrs. Miller shook the cloth until a handful of shriveled slices tumbled out. Tom found a pouch of wild rice beneath the bed, a gift from a passing traveler, now nearly forgotten. They celebrated these discoveries with small, hearty meals, a little stew made from wild rice and beans, apples warmed by the fire. For a little while, laughter returned to the cabin. But still, the days grew colder, and their stores grew thin. The sky had turned leaden, pressing the world in a hush that felt endless. Anna watched snow drift steadily along the window's edge, where icicles grew longer day by day. That evening, Mr. Miller lit the fire earlier, its glow brighter and more hopeful, though supper would be thin. As the family gathered by the hearth, Mrs. Miller placed the old kettle at the center of the room. The sound of water pouring in was gentle, almost ceremonial. She spoke softly, telling her children, many winters ago, travelers visited a village with nothing except a story and a smooth river stone. They taught the villagers how to make soup from almost nothing. Each person brought what they could. Anna fetched 3 round stones from beside the hearth, washed clean as tradition required. She lowered them into the boiling water, listening for the soft tap at the kettle's base. Tom looked about the room, found the last pinch of wild rice, a faded onion skin, and even a stray slice of dried apple. Mrs. Miller took a breath and let go of her worries, adding a scrap of salted pork she'd spared from last week's rations. Mr. Miller plucked a handful of pine needles, rinsed them well, and added them for flavor. The air filled slowly with the scent of hope, earthy, resinous, almost like spring. As the soup simmered, the family sang songs passed down for generations. Anna settled into the rhythm, feeling her hunger easing as laughter filled the little cabin. They ladled the soup carefully into bowls, each portion humble, but always shared. The taste was not grand, but each spoonful spoke of unity, of making do, of giving all you could, of letting hope flavor every meal. Later that night, Anna lay awake, listening to the wind and the breathing of those she loved. She understood, for the first time, that the real richness was not in the food, but in the kindness and stories shared around that fire. The days continued, each marked by small acts of survival. Tom ventured out to gather fir tips and search for animal tracks. Mrs. Miller taught Anna to brew pine needle tea, its bright taste a gentle reminder that even winter gave gifts if you looked closely. Rufus accompanied Tom, sniffing at the edges of thickets. Sometimes they found a rabbit's den, sometimes only silence and the hush of falling snow. Inside, Anna invented new games to pass the hours, memory games, stories built from the creaks in the cabin walls, the gentle tick-tack of snow falling from the eaves. Mr. Miller sharpened an old axe, splitting logs while telling tales about distant winters even harsher than this. Each story added another layer of warmth to the home. Meals were different now. Roasted roots brought in from beneath the snow, washed and cooked with what little oil remained. A bread made from crushed acorns and seeds, toasted over coals. Soups flavored with whatever herbs and greens could be found. At times, Anna felt the pang of hunger return, but she also felt the slow, deep comfort of resilience growing inside her, like a lamp burning quietly against the cold. That night, the cabin seemed quieter than ever. The wind pressed close against the walls, and the cold crept gently into corners where warmth had always lived. Anna, wrapped in blankets and nestled beside Tom, tried to sleep through the sounds of empty bellies and soft breathing. Her dreams came quietly, a gentle, silvery voice calling from the shadows beneath the floorboards. Anna wandered through the cabin in her mind, following the voice to a dusty crawlspace. There, she saw a burlap sack, hidden behind old firewood and a heap of straw. She reached out, feeling hope pulse through her, and the dream faded into darkness and rest. Morning arrived with pale gray light. Anna awoke with a sense of purpose. She nudged Tom, whispered about her dream, and together they tiptoed to the edge of the crawlspace. Rufus followed, tail wagging out of curiosity. Mr. Miller helped clear aside the wood and straw. After a moment, Anna spotted the sack from her dreams. As they pulled it into the light, Mrs. Miller opened it with trembling hands. Inside, a small clutch of potatoes, wrinkled but sturdy, tumbled out onto the cabin floor. The family stared in disbelief, then laughed, the laughter growing into tears as relief swept through them like a warm wind. That day's meal was a celebration. Mrs. Miller boiled the potatoes in fresh snow water as Anna and Tom watched the pot. She seasoned them with a last pinch of salt and wild onions, creating a feast from hope and memory. Tom asked, "How did you dream about the exact place, Anna?" Mrs. Miller smiled and tucked a wisp of hair behind Anna's ear. "Winter and hunger make us remember things we forget. Sometimes dreams carry secrets we didn't know we had." With the new meal, everyone felt their spirits lift. Even Rufus licked his bowl for longer than usual. That night, the family told stories of ancient wisdom, how some believed that ancestor spirits whispered through dreams, guiding loved ones to food, warmth, and safety. Anna drifted to sleep in a bed filled with gratitude and gentle joy, knowing sometimes answers came not just from hard work, but from quiet, hopeful moments and the mysteries of memory. Would you like to continue to the next part, the hardest night, the arrival of neighbors, and spring's thaw? I can keep building each section with vivid detail, gentle pacing, and soothing narration. The sky grew darker, and the storm winds rattled the cabin's roof harder than before. Each family member felt the weight of the season. The snow piled high against the door, the shadows creeping across their faces as the fire sunk low. Mr. Miller placed the last logs carefully on the hearth. It was a night when the wind howled like distant voices, and the world seemed frozen so completely that even hope shivered. Anna tucked the potatoes saved from her dream deep under blankets with her brother Tom, sharing their warmth through close bodies and whispered words. Rufus curled near the fire, breathing in slow, steady puffs. Mrs. Miller wrapped Samuel tightly, listening for the baby's soft breaths, her hands resting lightly on his chest. The family huddled together, each layer of wool and each blanket a small shield against the biting cold. Mrs. Miller told a story to soothe Anna and Tom. Years ago, your great-grandfather Jeremiah woke up to a cabin colder than any he'd known. The fire had gone out. He kept his family close, told them stories through the night, and used heated stones and old quilts to keep them safe until the sun returned. Outside, the snow muffled every sound. Inside, the crackle of the last embers and the rhythmic breathing of loved ones filled the cabin. Anna listened to the wisdom in her mother's voice and felt, even through the hunger and cold, a sense of deep belonging. As the storm raged, Tom asked quietly, "How do we know the world will get warmer again?" Mr. Miller replied, "Because spring always wins, sometimes slow, sometimes sudden. We just hold on together, and the thaw will come." Throughout that hardest night, the family traded stories and songs, some silly, some sad. They remembered every kindness, every clever trick for staying warm. Anna imagined the thaw, the return of green to the world, and her heart beat gently, steadily. By dawn, the wind had faded. The world seemed softer, as if kindness had finally pushed through the snow. The fire was rebuilt, and hope, ever patient, settled in once more. Tell me if you'd like to continue to the next part. Spring's first signs, the visit of neighbors, or deeper exploration into the Miller family's lessons and future. I can keep building every passage in the same calming, expansive style. The longest night passed, and the Miller cabin lay still beneath a sky tinged with fragile morning blue. Anna blinked at the window, watching sunlight slowly creep across the frosted glass, the first true light after days of shadow. Tom went out to fetch water, his boots crunching through a snowbank that had softened at the edges. Anna joined him. Together they stood silently, listening as the wind quieted, replaced by the distant tapping of branches and the promise of birdsong. Inside, Mrs. Miller warmed the remaining potatoes. The air felt lighter, less heavy with hunger and cold. Samuel giggled, his voice bouncing through the cabin with a new kind of hope. Suddenly, Rufus barked at the door. Mr. Miller rose and peeked outside, heart leaping with surprise. In the pale sun, neighbors trudged toward the cabin faces rosy from the cold, arms full of baskets and sacks. There was Mrs. Gillespie with a loaf of fresh bread, old Jed with dried fish, the Bennett children carrying apples and jars sweetened with honey. Anna dashed to greet them, bundled tight against the lingering chill. The neighbors' laughter warmed the yard, tales of their own survival and struggles blending with the Miller family's stories as they gathered inside. Together, they shared food, tales, and gratitude. The feast was humble bread dipped in potato stew, apples sliced and passed around, honey spooned into hot pine needle tea. Anna and Tom played with the Bennett children, spinning slow dances across the cabin floor. As the friends lingered, Mr. Miller talked softly with Jed about the changing snow. They noticed how drifts melted faster near the base of spruce trees, revealing tufts of green moss and early wild herbs. Mrs. Gillespie recounted old wisdom. The snow always leaves from the south edge first. It is spring's whisper. Before the neighbors departed, each family exchanged gifts, blankets, seeds for the next planting, the promise of aid in the days ahead. Anna watched the sun as it rose higher. Icicles dripped steadily, water flowing back into the earth. The world was still cold, but in every puddle and patch of grass, hope grew. That night, Anna carved a small potato and planted it in a bit of leftover soil. Tom drew pictures on the window pane, tracing dreams of green fields and blue skies. Mrs. Miller hugged them close. "How did we survive this winter?" Anna asked. "With help, hope, stories, and kindness," Mr. Miller answered. "With the gifts of others and the strength we found together. If you'd like to go deeper on a growing up, reflecting on lessons, or the return of spring in full, let me know, and I'll continue building the gentle, calming narrative chapter by chapter." Days passed, and the Miller cabin changed with the season. Anna watched puddles gather where snow once rested, and Tom traced the lines of trickling water toward the woods. The air grew soft, cold, gave way to damp. Silence filled with the gentle rhythm of drip and tick. Inside, Mrs. Miller began spring cleaning, sweeping out the dust and winter's memories. She and Anna opened windows to let in the new, cool breeze, which brought scents of thawing earth and distant pine needles. Rufus wagged his tail as birds started singing again, their notes drifting in with every sunrise. Mr. Miller and Tom worked to patch the garden fence, their boots sinking in mud. Each day, green shoots pressed through the melting snow outside, the first promise of new potatoes, beans, and the hope of harvest. Anna asked, "What did this winter teach us, Mama?" Mrs. Miller smiled softly. "It taught us that the hardest days can bring out the gentlest strength, that stories and kindness are food for the heart, that waiting, searching, and sharing are as important as eating." At night, the family didn't gather only because of hunger or cold, but for the joy of togetherness. Anna told stories, new ones, made from scraps of memory and dreams. Sometimes Tom played a quiet tune on his wooden flute, and baby Samuel clapped his hands, laughter bubbling up like spring water. Mr. Miller would sit, hands wrapped around a mug of pine needle tea, remembering ancestors who survived hunger, floods, and storms. "We are here," he whispered one evening, "because they risked, imagined, endured, and loved." As green overtook white outside, Anna carried a single potato sprout to the garden and planted it, remembering the sack she'd found. Tom helped tuck seeds in neat rows, each one a little story, a little hope planted in the earth. They watched, day by day, as the world grew warm, soft, and alive again. Anna understood that the end of hunger was not just a full belly. It was every gentle moment, every hand held, every kindness shared that carried them safely from winter into spring. Spring flourished across the land, and life in the Miller cabin settled into a new, gentle rhythm. Anna watched the green unfurl along the garden rows, the potato sprouts growing taller, beans climbing their wooden stakes, and wildflowers poking through patches of soft earth. Each evening, as the sun faded behind the trees and firelight flickered on the cabin walls, Anna listened to her family's voices blend with the gentle night. Now her belly was full, but her heart longed to hold on to the lessons she'd learned. One night, Anna sat with Mrs. Miller near the hearth. The coals glowed red, casting calm shadows across their faces. Anna asked, "Mama, how do you remember all the stories from winters before?" Mrs. Miller smiled, closing her eyes for a moment. "Every story holds a lesson, sometimes about survival, sometimes about love, sometimes about hope when everything else seems lost. Memories are seeds, planted by each hardship and kindness. We tend them, and one day they grow into wisdom." Tom carved a small wooden box that evening, filling it with scribbled notes and tiny treasures: dried wild rice, a smooth river stone, and a scrap of blanket that once hid apples. Anna added her dream a drawing of the sack of potatoes discovered in the crawl space. Mr. Miller placed the box beside the cabin's oldest beam, saying, "When we come through hard winters, it's our duty to leave signs and stories for those who live here after us. Wisdom isn't only in surviving, but in teaching others how to find hope and warmth in the coldest times." Later that spring, Anna told the children who visited about her family's winter, retelling the tale of hunger, stone soup, and the potato sack discovered in a dream. She whispered, "If you ever find your cupboard bare, remember what our ancestors taught. Share what you have, search where you least expect, and never let go of hope. Survival is not just food, but togetherness and imagination, like a story, gentle and true, told by a warm fire after a long, cold night." The children listened, their eyes wide and their hearts swelling with quiet courage. Anna understood. The longest winters never lasted, but the wisdom earned and the love shared would stay rooted in their lives forever. Would you like the next part to follow Anna as she grows older, passes on her wisdom, or explores more mysteries of pioneer life? Let me know, and I'll keep building out each chapter in this gentle, immersive tone. Years drifted by, shaped by gentle springs, golden summers, and the hush of many more winters. Anna grew tall, her hair the color of autumn wheat, laughter quick to lift the quiet in any room. She never forgot the lessons of that long, hungry winter or the peace found in the warm circle of stories and shared hope. When Anna herself became a mother, she settled in a home not far from her parents' old cabin. Each year, as cold threatened the land, she gathered her own children around the hearth. Their faces glowed in the firelight, curious, trusting, and eager for stories. Anna taught them practical things: how to stretch a stew, flavor tea with pine needles, find wild roots beneath the snow, why kindness was as important as cleverness, and that neighbors could be lifelines, how to pack moss in the cabin's cracks and hang blankets in the darkest drafts. But it was the stories her children cherished most. Anna retold the tale of her dream, the hidden sack of potatoes, and the cheerful soup made from stones and scraps, never letting hunger or hardship send anyone to bed without hope. Her youngest asked once, "Mama, can stories make the world warmer even when everything's cold?" Anna hugged him close, whispering, "Yes, because stories stay with you when blankets run thin and cupboards run bare. Stories are the fires we build inside ourselves, with memories of love and ingenuity." As her children grew, Anna watched them teach others, neighbors, friends, even strangers passing by in winter's deep silence. She saw them share food, shelter, and stories, passing on the wisdom and resilience learned in their family. Anna's legacy settled in the land, woven through every season: gentle strength, practical hope, and the knowledge that even in the darkest winters, warmth lives in sharing and remembering. Anna's children grew with every season, nimble as foxes in the snow and gentle as lambs in the spring grass. When winter crept back across the hills, they felt eager, not afraid, for they knew how to greet the cold with careful hands and hopeful hearts. One year, a storm swept in earlier than expected. Anna's son, Luke, scouted the root cellar and found their potato stores low. Anna's daughter, Mary, counted jars of beans and realized they would need to stretch the food again. Anna gathered her family just as Mrs. Miller once had, and invited the children to search every nook for forgotten treasures, a handful of dried corn behind the plank, 2 wrinkled apples wrapped in an old towel, a bag of wild herbs left by summer visitors. The family practiced the stone soup ritual, celebrating every contribution no matter how small. Luke found smooth stones by the creek. Mary made bread from wild acorns. And Anna shared pine needle tea, its light flavor promising health even in the deepest cold. Neighbors visited, sharing bread and laughter. Anna watched as her children told new stories of resilience, kindness, and cleverness. Each tale lit up the faces around the hearth, passing warmth from generation to generation. As clouds parted and the world thawed again, the family planted new seeds, each one a memory and a story tucked beneath the soil. Anna smiled, seeing how the legacy of hope, ingenuity, and togetherness would grow, season after season. That night, with her children nestled close, Anna whispered, "No winter lasts forever. We carry fires in our hearts and stories in our hands, all the warmth anyone could ever need." Outside, the snow softened into green. Inside, the next chapter of sleep-friendly wisdom waited to be lived and shared. The land flourished with green, and Anna's family found themselves busy with the rhythms of planting, tending, and gathering. Still, at sunset, when the world slowed and the shadows grew long, Anna and her children circled the hearth for stories. One breezy evening, Mary sat by the open window, feeling the soft wind on her cheeks. She asked Anna, "Mama, how do stories last so long? How do they travel from one generation to the next?" Anna smiled, thinking back through all the winters of her own life. Stories are like seeds carried on the wind. We tell them, and they settle in the hearts of those who hear. When life grows hard, those stories sprout and give comfort and answers in ways we may never expect. Luke shared a story he'd learned from old Jed, their neighbor, the tale of a lost hunter who followed the North Star to safety, guided by memory and song. Mary added a new story, making up an adventure about a clever fox who found food in winter by asking for help from the other forest animals. The family laughed softly and breathed in the quiet evening air. Anna looked at the notes and small treasures in their box of memories, each item a clue to surviving and thriving, even when the world seemed harsh. Before bed, Anna tucked her children into blankets and whispered, "Never be afraid to share your stories. They are the lanterns you carry against the night, and the warmth you pass on to everyone you love." Rufus settled at the foot of the bed. Outside, the wind rustled through budding leaves, carrying stories and comfort off into the night. One afternoon, as rain tapped lightly on the roof, Luke and Mary decided to explore the farthest corners of their home. With Anna's gentle encouragement, they climbed the narrow attic stairs, their lantern casting warm, golden light into the shadowy space overhead. Amid stacks of old quilts and wooden chests, they found a heavy, iron lantern, its glass clouded, but its shape beautiful and sturdy. Anna joined them, brushing off years of dust and polishing the handle with a scrap of cloth. She explained, "This lantern once lit dark nights for your grandfather's family. During long winters, he carried it outside to check for animal tracks and gather firewood. Every scratch tells a story of survival and hope." Luke imagined ancestors braving the cold, lantern in hand, while Mary asked to light it that night. Anna agreed, helping them fill it with oil from a tiny jug, the last remaining from the previous harvest. At dusk, when the world outside turned indigo and cool, the family gathered by the attic window. Luke lit the lantern, watching its soft glow spread across the walls and floor. Mary closed her eyes and listened to the rain and the quiet breathing around her. Anna said, "The light is like our stories, sometimes small, but always enough when shared. It helps us find the path, remember the past, and dream of spring." As evening deepened, the lantern cast gentle shadows, that danced above their heads. Each member of the family felt safe, comforted, and connected to all those who came before. That night, the lantern's glow became part of their bedtime routine, a beacon that reminded them of courage and kindness in every season, no matter how dark. Spring matured into golden days, and Anna's family prepared for another cycle of planting and tending. The garden, once sparse and hidden beneath snow, now thrummed with hopeful activity. Anna knelt with Mary, pressing seeds carefully into rose beans, potatoes, corn, each one a small promise for the seasons ahead. Luke worked alongside Mr. Miller, learning how to mend fences and shape furrows for water flow. "Every seed you plant," Mr. Miller said, "is a memory and a wish. It carries the strength of everyone who ever survived a hard winter and grows into good food and good stories." Mary found a patch of wild herbs beneath the garden gate and decided to plant some alongside the regular crops. Anna told her, "Herbs bring flavor, but also medicine and luck. Your grandmother believed every garden should have a little wildness in it. They saved the largest potato from last year, harvested the one discovered in Anna's dream, and planted it with extra care. This potato is our story," Anna whispered. "Every year it grows. We remember where we came from and how hope found us in hunger." At sunset, the family sat together by the growing garden, sharing soft words and songs. Rufus chased butterflies, Samuel splashed joyfully in a puddle, and Anna's heart swelled with quiet pride. As dusk settled, Anna reminded her children, "No matter how hard the winter, there's always a spring with seeds to plant. When you sow stories as well as crops, the land and your heart will always be filled." The days warmed, rain softened into gentle showers, and the garden swelled with green. Anna's family watched with growing delight as beans climbed their stakes, potatoes blossomed into sturdy stalks, and wild herbs perfumed the air. Each morning, the children raced to count new sprouts, eager to see what miracles waited under the earth. The first harvest brought laughter and joy. Luke unearthed plump potatoes from the patch Anna had blessed with her story. Mary gathered handfuls of beans with nimble fingers, and Samuel toddled behind, dropping leaves and singing gentle nonsense tunes. Together, the family prepared their first feast. Anna sliced potatoes, Mary snapped beans, and Luke helped stir a fragrant stew flavored with fresh herbs and a pinch of wild salt. They set the table with care, each plate a symbol of hope realized, every bite a celebration. After supper, neighbors joined them for songs in the glow of the fire. Each family brought something: bread, honey, dried apples, stories of their own seasons of waiting and reward. Anna led them in a circle of gratitude, holding hands, sharing quiet moments, whispering thanks for warmth and plenty. Mr. Miller reminded everyone, "Every feast begins in the hunger of winter. Every story we tell becomes a reason for the next harvest." Anna hugged her children tight, her heart content. She knew each gentle hardship, every night spent in hope, and every shared story had brought them to this. The memory of cold and hunger was no longer fear but wisdom, woven into the warmth of every spring and every family gathering. As stars blinked awake in the soft evening, Anna closed her eyes, dreaming not of hunger, but of peace, community, and the endless cycle of resilience and love. With the harvest gathered and the larder restocked, Anna's family settled into a season of gentle abundance. Still, they remembered the lessons of the hard winter and the power of small gifts, those mysterious bundles of kindness that had arrived just when they were needed most. One bright, breezy morning, Anna and the children prepared small parcels for neighbors' woven grass baskets filled with potatoes, beans, dried herbs, and tiny jars of raspberry jam Mary had helped preserve. Luke tucked smooth river stones into each basket alongside a note: for soup, for laughter, for hope. They delivered these gifts up and down the winding lane, knocking gently on doors and sharing cheerful words. Each neighbor remembered some part of the Miller family's story: the dream-tinted potato, the stone soup feasts, the lantern glowing in attic windows through every darkest night. At one cabin, Anna found a young mother with a newborn, worried about the coming season. Anna knelt and placed bread and jam in her hands. "We survived the longest hunger," she said softly, "and you will too. Stories and kindness make winters shorter." At night, as Anna's family returned home, their hearts were extra full. The children asked, "Why do we give things away when we worked so hard to grow and save them?" Anna answered, "Because giving is how we keep the circle unbroken. When we share what we have, even a little, we carry hope from house to house, year to year. Our gifts may be small, but their warmth lasts through every storm." That evening, the family lit the attic lantern again. Its glow washed gently over the faces Anya loved best, shining a golden path for all the long seasons and adventures yet to come. As the days grew shorter again, and the maples began to turn gold, Anna gathered her children and Mr. Miller around the big kitchen table, spreading out scraps of cloth, old shirts and blankets, bits of linen, soft pieces of Anna's childhood dresses. "I want to make a quilt," Anna said, "one that keeps us warm in winter and tells our story for every season to come." Mary chose a patch from the summer's harvest, embroidered with beans and wildflowers. Luke picked cloth from the scarf Anna had worn when she discovered the potato sack. Mr. Miller traced a square with the river stone motif, remembering hopeful nights of stone soup. Anna stitched slowly, telling stories with every pass of the needle. Each piece sparked a gentle memory, a cold night healed by kindness, a dream that led to discovery, the first spring rain after months of waiting. As they worked, they sang soft songs and shared laughter, weaving comfort into every seam. When the quilt was finished, they hung it near the hearth, where the fire's glow painted their family's history across every colored square. At bedtime, Anna wrapped the quilt around her children, whispering, "This fabric remembers every story we've ever shared, every hope we've carried through the frost and storm. It will hold us close in all the winters yet to come." Outside, the first wind of autumn swept down the lane, soft and cool. Inside, Anna's family huddled beneath the quilt's gentle weight, dreaming of new adventures and the warmth of a home built on memories. As the days grew shorter again and the maples began to turn gold, Anna gathered her children and Mr. Miller around the big kitchen table, spreading out scraps of cloth, old shirts and blankets, bits of linen, soft pieces of Anna's childhood dresses. "I want to make a quilt," Anna said, "one that keeps us warm in winter and tells our story for every season to come." Mary chose a patch from the summer's harvest, embroidered with beans and wildflowers. Luke picked cloth from the scarf Anna had worn when she discovered the potato sack. Mr. Miller traced a square with the river stone motif, remembering hopeful nights of stone soup. Anna stitched slowly, telling stories with every pass of the needle. Each piece sparked a gentle memory, a cold night healed by kindness, a dream that led to discovery, the first spring rain after months of waiting. As they worked, they sang soft songs and shared laughter, weaving comfort into every seam. When the quilt was finished, they hung it near the hearth, where the fire's glow painted their family's history across every colored square. At bedtime, Anna wrapped the quilt around her children, whispering, "This fabric remembers every story we've ever shared, every hope we've carried through the frost and storm. It will hold us close in all the winters yet to come." Outside, the first wind of autumn swept down the lane, soft and cool. Inside, Anna's family huddled beneath the quilt's gentle weight, dreaming of new adventures and the warmth of a home built on memories. As the days grew shorter again and the maples began to turn gold, Anna gathered her children and Mr. Miller around the big kitchen table, spreading out scraps of cloth, old shirts and blankets, bits of linen, soft pieces of Anna's childhood dresses. "I want to make a quilt," Anna said, "one that keeps us warm in winter and tells our story for every season to come." Mary chose a patch from the summer's harvest, embroidered with beans and wildflowers. Luke picked cloth from the scarf Anna had worn when she discovered the potato sack. Mr. Miller traced a square with the river stone motif, remembering hopeful nights of stone soup. Anna stitched slowly, telling stories with every pass of the needle. Each piece sparked a gentle memory, a cold night healed by kindness, a dream that led to discovery, the first spring rain after months of waiting. As they worked, they sang soft songs and shared laughter, weaving comfort into every scene. When the quilt was finished, they hung it near the hearth, where the fire's glow painted their family's history across every colored square. At bedtime, Anna wrapped the quilt around her children, whispering, "This fabric remembers every story we've ever shared, every hope we've carried through the frost and storm. It will hold us close in all the winters yet to come." Outside, the first wind of autumn swept down the lane, soft and cool. Inside, Anna's family huddled beneath the quilt's gentle weight, dreaming of new adventures and the warmth of a home built on memories. Once again, the wind sharpened and frost dusted the windows. Anna felt the familiar ache in the air, the slow turning of seasons, and the approach of another winter. But this time, her family was prepared in body and, most importantly, spirit. They brought out last year's quilt and draped it across their laps, feeling the weight of every stitched memory. The lantern glowed in the attic, and jars crowded the shelves. Beans, corn, dried apples, and herbs, all saved with care. Mary pressed her hands against the cold glass, watching the first snowfall. "Will it be a hard winter?" she asked. Anna knelt beside her and said, "We never know until it comes, but we do know how to wait and how to hope. Hunger and cold visit every home sometimes. We welcome them, teach them patience, and show them kindness in return." Luke practiced storytelling, retelling the tale of their ancestors, and inventing new ones wise animals. Brave children, magic sacks that deliver potatoes when most needed. Anna laughed and encouraged him, knowing that imagination would always warm their hearts through even the longest nights. During a storm, the family gathered near the fire. Mr. Miller shared a new recipe, a blend of wild herbs brewed with snow water and a pinch of dried berries. Everyone declared it delicious, and Anna wrote it down. For future winters, when warm memories help make new comfort. Neighbors stopped by, bringing gifts from their own stores: syrup, bread, laughter, and news of changing weather. Anna exchanged stories, recipes, and snippets of advice, confident that every connection lengthened the thread binding their small community. Outside, the snow deepened, but inside, warmth glowed in every smile, every gentle word, every story told once more. As sleep beckoned, Anna wrapped her family in the quilt and whispered, "Let winter come. We have all we need: hope, wisdom, togetherness, and dreams for spring." As the winter deepened, Anna noticed how the land's oldest trees withstood the cold roots stretching wide and deep, anchoring themselves through the hardest freezes. She thought of her family and their stories, recalling how their own roots had helped them endure seasons of hunger and uncertainty. On a particularly crisp morning, Anna led her children through the woods, teaching them how to spot ancient oaks and sturdy pines. "See how they stand together, protect each other from wind and storm," she said, tracing the thick bark with gentle fingers. "Just like our family and our neighbors. Alone, we might break. Together, we grow stronger each day." Luke found a patch of last year's wild onions beneath a snowbank. Mary spotted rabbit tracks and imagined a burrow warm and safe below the earth. Anna showed them how to gather pine cones for kindling, and how even frozen roots could offer food or flavor. Back at the cabin, they wrote new recipes in their family book: root stew, wild onion bread, pine tea for tired spirits. As the fire crackled, Anna explained, "Every hardship teaches us something new. When you dig deep, you find nourishment and comfort, even in cold, hidden places." That night, the family wrapped themselves in their memory quilt, lantern glowing warmly on the windowsill. Anna whispered, remember the wisdom of old roots, your own strength, our stories, and the community that surrounds us. You're never alone, no matter how hard the winter. Sleep came easy, gentle as the wind rustling through the oldest branches, and the world waited quietly for spring once more. After many cold weeks, Anna sensed a subtle shift in the air when softened. Light lingered longer in the evenings, and the hush of snow gave way to the quiet dripping of thaw. She woke early to the sound of birds returning, gently calling from distant branches. Anna led her children outside, where patches of earth peered through melting drifts. Luke found new sprouts near a tree's base, tiny leaves determined to rise. Mary spotted a crocus blooming purple and delicate, the very first color of the year. Mr. Miller joined them, carrying seeds saved from last autumn. Together, the family prepared the garden, turning soil with careful hands. Anna taught the children how to greet each season with faith, plucking last year's roots from the cold mud and making room for growth. Evenings grew joyful as neighbors gathered again, sharing news of muddy roads and early harvest plans. Anna listened to stories of hope and renewal, her heart swelling with the familiar promise of spring. Inside, the family aired their quilt in the sun stories, and colors freshened for another year. Anna placed the lantern in its spot by the attic window, its glass bright and clean, ready to shine through warm and stormy nights alike. On the first true day of spring, Anna's family sat in the garden, watching sunlight carry away the last shadows of winter. Rufus rolled in the grass. Samuel sang to the crocuses, and Anna closed her eyes, giving thanks for gentle cycles and endless renewals. The years ahead would bring new lessons, old wisdom, and always, the unbroken strength of hope. With spring fully arrived, Anna's family settled gratefully into new routines. The garden blossomed, the pantry filled with early greens, and every room in the cabin pulsed with a gentle, joyful energy. Luke and Mary took turns watering seedlings, both mindful of the stories Anna told, how every plant was a promise, every harvest a result of patience and care. Samuel toddled around with a wooden spoon, stirring imaginary stews and laughing in the sunlight. Neighbors stopped by to trade seeds, wisdom, and stories. Anna welcomed each visitor with bread and tea, her heart overflowing with gratitude for the community that made pioneering a shared adventure and not a solitary struggle. One evening, Anna gathered her family beneath the memory quilt. They traced patches and remembered each chapter, the hardest winter, the hidden potato sack, the glow of their lantern when hope felt thin. Anna's voice was steady, loving. See the circle we've built here, caring for the land, sharing with friends, believing that every winter will end in spring. Mr. Miller nodded, adding, when you carry stories, kindness and hope, you make a path for others to follow. Our circle remains unbroken, season after season, year after year. As dusk fell, the family sang songs gently into the growing dark. The notes drifted out the window, mingling with warm breezes and the sense of new life. Anna rested with her children, replaying every lesson. Each hardship turned into wisdom, each kindness multiplied, each hope proof against every storm. She knew they would be ready for whatever seasons came next, together. Summer stretched wide across the fields, rich with the smell of warm earth and ripening crops. Anna's family enjoyed each day picnics beneath the old oak, tailies beneath stars, new recipes for berry pies, and sun-dried beans. Luke and Mary learned how to fish at the river's bend, listening for the wisdom of water and wind. Samuel chased butterflies and collected rocks to add to the family's memory box. When storms passed through, Anna gathered her children inside and shared gentle lessons. Give thanks for shelter and brave hearts. Know that every thundercloud will wander away, making room for sunlight. Save seeds for lean times. Wisdom always prepares when comfort is plentiful. Neighbors brought news of a new family settling nearby, a shy boy named Eli and his sister Ruth. Anna's family invited them for supper, passing food and kindness around the table until laughter echoed in every corner. Eli shared a story of traveling far and missing home. Anna replied, "Home is never just a place. It's the circle of warmth we build from kindness, memory, and hope." As the golden days began to mellow and the edge of autumn touched the trees, Anna felt the gentle anticipation of change. She knew another winter would come, perhaps hard, perhaps gentle, and the family's wisdom, quilt, and lantern would always be ready. One night, as fireflies blinked across the yard, Anna tucked her children under their patchwork quilt and whispered, "Whatever the world brings next, carry what you've learned. Our stories, our hope, and our love will light the way, just as they always have." And so, the wheel of seasons turned, quiet and strong, the Miller family and their circle of kindness, ever ready for whatever tomorrow would bring. As autumn colored the woods and fields, Anna's family prepared with practiced calm for the chill to come. Canning jars lined every shelf, quilts aired in the last strong sun, and the lantern was refilled and polished to shine in the long nights ahead. One afternoon, Anna gathered her children, Eli, Ruth, and neighbors for a tradition she cherished, the Hope Handoff. They sat in a circle under the old oak, each sharing one thing they hoped would help someone else in the months to come. Luke offered his fishing pole to Eli, promising to teach him the river's secrets. Mary gave Ruth a patch of quilt with wildflowers sewn in for dreams on cold nights. Samuel pressed a shiny stone for soup and stories into Anna's palm. Anna herself passed a jar of seeds to the youngest cousin, explaining, "Plant these next spring and watch how hope grows, quietly and strong, through all weather." Neighbors shared recipes, advice, and laughter, a sign that no winter, however dark, could break their circle. Anna smiled, watching love move among them, knowing every simple act would carry warmth into even the loneliest corners. At sunset, Anna placed the memory quilt on her children's bed patches bright with shared gifts and wishes. She whispered, "Whenever you feel lost or afraid, remember how many hands have already passed you a hope. It is never far away." Outside, the wind sang through orange leaves. Inside, hearts beat steady and calm, filled with certainty that kindness and wisdom would always be enough. Anna's family gathered around the hearth, retelling old tales and weaving new ones. Each story was a thread in the fabric of their lives, a gentle reminder that no matter the hardship, warmth and hope could always be found. The children listened intently as Anna spoke about ancestors who weathered storms and created light from darkness. She encouraged them to add their own stories, nurturing a legacy that would outlast every winter. Neighbors stopped by, sharing gifts and laughter, reinforcing the unbreakable circle that bound them all. Together, they faced the coming cold with steady hearts and spirits lifted by friendship and tradition. As night settled, the lantern burned bright by the attic window, illuminating the memory quilt that told 1,000 silent stories. Wrapped in its gentle warmth, Anna's family drifted into peaceful sleep, safe and hopeful for the seasons yet to come. Mrs. Gillespie recounted quietly as she and Mr. Miller observed the melting snow near the bases of spruce trees. The Miller cabin was alive with gentle stirring green moss peeking through white, drifts and early herbs waking from their winter sleep. Neighbors had gathered once more, sharing fresh bread, dried fish, apples, and honey-sweetened tea. Anna smiled as children danced slowly across the cabin floor, warmth and laughter filling the space once shadowed by hunger and cold. Together, they celebrated small miracles, the promise in early shoots, the kindness in shared food, and the hope in every whispered story. Outside, signs of spring unfolded softly. The wind carried the scent of thawing earth and pine. Birdsong returned to the branches, and the long night finally began to yield to the warmth of day. Inside, Anna tucked a sprouted potato carefully into freshly turned soil, knowing that this small act was part of a great cycle, a reminder that hard winters give way to gentle springs, and stories carry the light from one generation to the next. Anna and her family prepared the garden with patient hands and hopeful hearts. Each seed planted was not just a plant, but a promise, a story waiting to grow. Mary carefully placed beans in neat rows, while Luke dug small holes for potatoes. Anna handed them seeds saved from last year's harvest, symbols of resilience and continuity. Even young Samuel helped, scattering wildflower seeds near the cabin's edge. Neighbors came to share tools and advice, each one adding their own wisdom to the soil. Stories grew as easily as the plants, passed from mouth to ear with laughter and gentle lessons. As the sun warmed the earth, Anna whispered, "These seeds will carry us through the next winter. Like our stories, they take time, care, and patience, but they always come to life." That night, beneath a sky full of stars, the family gathered by the glowing lantern. The memory quilt lay folded nearby, a silent witness to the seasons they had lived and those still waiting to be told. As the garden grew tall and green, Anna's family found new rhythms in their days. Watering, weeding, and watching became acts of patience and love, quiet moments that carried deep meaning in the heart of the earth. One afternoon, Anna showed Mary how to make a simple remedy from wild herbs, teaching her the healing knowledge passed down through generations. Luke learned to set gentle traps to protect their crops from hungry rabbits, while Samuel chased butterflies and gathered smooth stones. Neighbors brought news of early frosts and unexpected spring rains, reminding everyone that life was woven of both challenge and blessing. Anna responded with calm, sharing her store of wisdom and kindness. At dusk, the family gathered again by the fire, sharing stories of past seasons and hopes for the future. The lantern's steady glow illuminated faces bright with love and trust. Anna whispered, "We plant not only seedlings but strength, and from these roots, we grow the courage to meet each new day." The days grew shorter, and the warm sun began to soften. Anna's family prepared for the coming autumn, with care harvesting the last of the garden, drying herbs, and repairing the cabin for colder nights. The children learned how to store food properly, turning lessons from their parents into hope for the future. Neighbors brought pumpkins and late apples to share, and the air filled with the scent of wood smoke and spices. Anna reminded her family that preparation was more than work. It was a promise to protect and nurture each other. At twilight, they gathered once more around the hearth, the lantern's glow warm and steady. Stories of past autumns and winter hopes wove a gentle rhythm, lulling hearts toward rest and renewal. Anna smiled softly and said, "Every season holds its purpose, and every moment we prepare brings strength to face what comes next." With autumn winds swirling and leaves falling in golden drifts, Anna's family found comfort in their traditions. The hearth became the heart of their home, once more a place of gentle light, shared meals, and quiet stories as night fell early. Mary and Luke learned to bake simple bread, filling the cabin with warm, inviting scents. Samuel helped Anna arrange dried flowers and herbs above the mantel, each bunch a memory of summer days. Neighbors, old and new, gathered for evening suppers, bringing tales and laughter that lingered long after the plates were cleared. Anna sewed a new patch onto the memory quilt, this one shaped like a small, glowing flame. She explained, "The warmth of our hearth is not just from firewood. It's in our words, our care, and every kindness we share, no matter the weather outside." As the lantern cast soft shadows and the family settled in for the night, Anna whispered, "Wherever we wander, whatever storms arrive, we always carry this hearth's warmth inside us." And so peace settled over the cabin, promising rest, connection, and strength season after season. As the first snow dusted the ground, Anna's family gathered around the hearth once again, the fire's flickering light casting soft shadows on the walls. Outside, the world was hushed under a blanket of white, and inside, warmth and love filled every corner. Mary and Luke carefully mended winter clothes, their fingers nimble despite the chill in the room. Samuel played quietly by the fire, his favorite wooden toys tucked close. Anna's stories reminded them all of the strength found in kindness and memory. Neighbors stopped by with hot cider and shared laughter that echoed warmly in the crisp night air. Anna smiled, knowing that these simple moments were the heartbeats of their shared life. As the lantern's glow softened, Anna whispered to her children, "No matter the season or storm, we carry this light within us always." With winter's quiet settled deeply, Anna's family found comfort in the small routines that lit their days. The snow glistened outside, but inside the cabin, the glow of the lantern and the warmth of shared stories wrapped around them like a cozy blanket. Luke showed Mary how to make a snow lantern, a small cone of ice with a candle flickering inside. Anna reminded them, even the coldest nights have their light if you look for it. Neighbors arrived with gifts of preserved fruits and warm mittens. They shared news of the wider world, tales of distant places, and hopes for the coming spring. The children listened wide-eyed, their minds blooming with dreams beyond the valley. Anna nodded, knowing well that this light was more than just candle flame. It was the enduring spirit of their community. That night, as stars blinked through the frosty window panes, Anna tucked her children into their beds. She whispered softly, "No matter the length of winter or the darkness outside, the light within us will always guide the way forward." Outside, snowflakes swirled softly, blanketing the earth in white silence. Inside the cabin, Anna's family sought warmth in small, calming rituals, mending clothes, sharing gentle songs, and recounting stories from seasons past. Mary and Luke helped prepare simple meals, their movements steady and thoughtful. Samuel sat close to the fire, his eyes reflecting the flickering flames. Neighbors exchanged news and kind gestures through open windows, their voices like soft threads, weaving the community tightly together. By the glowing lantern light, Anna spoke softly. "Winter holds its own strength, teaching patience, resilience, and quiet courage. We carry these lessons in our hearts, ready for the spring's return." Wrapped in the memory quilt, the family embraced the peaceful stillness of the night, their spirits steady beneath the cold stars.